Eagles Talk on A2D Radio. We are brought to you by the one and only Bazzio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed bread, tomato pies, cutlets, meatballs. Make sure you mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. We are live, as usual. Chucks, Brinks, PY will be on in 1 second. He's just having some technical issues, but he will be here. I think last week he was having some technical issues too, and that's why he wasn't able to, he had a early exit from the show, but he should be on anytime soon. So trying to figure that out. But anyways, we are live. Brinks, what's going on? How are you?
Just getting ready for some real football talk. Enough of this memory lane stuff. Like, it's time to defend the title. Like, oh, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's absolutely talk about it. If you excuse me, I'm trying to get the link for PY, so I'm trying to multitask here. But it's good to know that we made it through the offseason and that we are here. We are entering training camp season. And I know that it's not like training camp season is kind of like double-edged sword, because like we know that football is on the horizon, it's close, and we're at like the precipice of the new season. But at the same time, it's like, what's there to really like put weight into? Because it's like so many things like are like exaggerated, and you have things that are hyped up, right?
Chuck, at this time last year,
ESP, remember like him and like training camp stats, it's like a whole thing. And I'm just like, that's one of the things that I'm just like, there's no need for this. And like you have all these like reports about players doing this and that, and just like, what's real, what's not, we don't know, because we're not part of the coaching staff. So it's hard to really decipher and pick out what's real, what's fake. But again, it is football, so it's nice to have it, right?
Well, I mean, if you remember this time last year, Chucks, we had questions galore about this team. Like, we had no idea what we were getting after that collapse, and it turned out everything worked out okay. They won the Super Bowl, greatest team in team history. And we have some questions this year, but I mean, honestly, until we see maybe some preseason games, I don't think we're going to be able to evaluate what those questions really, really are. But in the grand scheme of things, everything's good here. I mean, the defense lost some guys, but that's what happens when you're a good team. You can't re-sign everyone. It's a hard cap. And the offense has the only starter that's not back is Mekhi Becton. And not to poo-poo the guard position, but of all the positions that you have to replace, replacing one guard off a championship team, that's not fatal. At least it shouldn't be fatal.
Yeah, because usually you have teams like when they win the Super Bowl, like they get poached. Like a lot of the players, coaches, they get poached elsewhere. So like, we lost several players on defense, but like on offense, like everyone except for Becton is pretty much returning. So that's pretty good. That's pretty significant.
I mean, I guess we should talk like Kellen Moore coaches the Saints now.
That is true. Yeah. So the coach is gone. But we still got Vic Fangio. So it's going to be interesting. So be wide enough of you to join us. No more technical difficulties.
Boo!
Like last week.
Try to be stifled.
Just in time for training camp talk, because I know your favorite. I was talking about ESP.
I do. I'm so sick of everything. Like I'm ready to talk actual football. I'm tired of the list. I'm tired of being wrong every week. Your list sucks. This and that. All this other bull. So like. Yeah. I see we're talking about training camp and everything, and they're like, oh, we lost some pieces on defense. And while that's true, other than Gardner Johnson, like heading into like if this is the end of 2023 and we left these guys, like you lost Josh Sweat or Milt Williams heading into the 2024 season, would you feel as bad heading into that season that you do now? Because like I don't think really anyone thought they were gonna pay Milt Williams, and I also don't think anyone would have cared that they lost Josh Sweat. Like
I would have cared.
I mean, I like Josh Sweat too, but like there was a reason why they did a little contract fix just to keep him for one more year, because we thought last year, the year before, we were going to trade him.
I mean, whether these losses are a big deal or not is going to be up to the guys that have been brought in to replace them. It's
not even just the guys they brought in. It's going to be up to the guys who are here. Like, it's going to be up to Nolan Smith. It's going to be up to Moro Adormo. It's going to be up to Jalex Hunt, guys like that, like rookies. Like, you're going to see what you have in Keely Ringo and Sidney Brown. You know, you're going to see like what you have in the young pieces on this roster, because clearly they feel strongly enough about them to move forward. If they didn't, we probably would have drafted a corner very highly in the draft. We would have traded for one by now, or we would have gone out and we would have got Justin Simmons for safety. Like, it's very clear the fact that they're not shoehorning all these veterans in here, that they want to go for the youth movement and see what they have in these guys.
Yeah, I hear you. And we'll definitely dive into that, because, we have a bunch of questions. Our topic for today's show is the biggest questions entering training camp. So let's get to the first one. Let's get to our poll question. Before we do, I want to say hi to Eileen. Hey, what's going on, Eileen? Longtime listener. I hope you're doing well. And then she does ask, who was the Eagle that recently passed? That was Brian Brayman, member of that 2017 championship team. So
God, I loved when
prayers going out. Thoughts and prayers going out to him and his family. May
What did he have? Stomach cancer?
Yeah,
it was some type of aggressive
stage 4.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
pancreatic cancer.
Real quick, and he was young.
Sounds rough.
Yeah, it's rough. So shout out to him. All right, so poll question, guys. For tonight, Howie Roseman should and will trade for a player in August for the 4th or 5th year in a row. Agree or disagree? This has become like a common thing for him now. He's done it the previous 4 years in August, where he does like a late August trade for a player.
He help himself.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring up the players that we've done in the past 4 years right now. So 2021, it was Gardner Minshew. I mean, say what you want about that. 2022, CJ Gardner-Johnson, that was huge. 2023, Albert O, which was insignificant in the long run. 2024, Jahan Dotson, which was a solid addition, decent acquisition, and remains to be seen if it becomes anything more. But yeah, we've made some trades for players in late August. So are we going to see another one for the 5th year in a row? PY, what do you think?
So I think there are two separate discussions. Should he? I don't know if we have to. Like, if you go out and you see someone who's available that you feel confident in that could help this team, like, I'm all for it. But you don't have to trade for somebody. Like, it's not like necessary. I'm not just going to trade for anybody just because I'm bored and it's August. Like, the reoccurring theme for all these guys is 5th year option, or, maybe they're being underutilized in their current situation and they went out and they got him. Like, I think he thought he had something in Albert O. It didn't work out. Whatever. Since Gardner Johnson, it wasn't working out with the Saints, so they took a risk on him. Jahan Dotson, you needed a wide receiver 3. Gardner Minshew, you needed a cheap, controllable backup. Same thing what they did with Kenny Pickett. Like, if it fits a need and they see value in that player, they're gonna go out and get him. So I don't think it's a should they do it. I think it's more so when they'll do it, just because this is the Eagles' time to shine, in my opinion, because they love doing it in August, because Howie is looking to build up that roster. He's looking to not so much make a splash, but he's looking to improve the roster by any means necessary. And a lot of times it's either guys who aren't going to be on the final roster, or it's somebody who will not be here come September on their current roster. Guys who make a lot of sense. Greg Newsome on the Browns. Fifth year option, maybe it's not working out in Cleveland. Cleveland's kind of a mess right now. I would look into that. I was a big Greg Newsome fan when he first got drafted in Cleveland.
Yeah,
but they really like Emerson. I think Emerson has kind of taken over as CB1 over there, which is something that shocked a lot of people considering his draft stock. There are going to be options that they can go out and they can go and trade for. So I don't think it's a should. I think this is just what the Eagles do. Like the Eagles, at the end of every offseason, they bargain shop to see who's available when the cuts are made and who they could possibly get as a trade.
Yeah, I like that name that you mentioned, Greg Newsome. That's a good name. That's a good name. Brinks, what do you think?
I mean, Howie always does this. I mean, it's not 5 years in a row by accident. They're going to shift around. These teams shift around.
Yep.
And the Eagles, they build up a lot of draft capital so they can trade picks to plug now holes that they may have after they see some of these young guys practice. I like the Newsome name from Cleveland. I don't know. Keely Ringo makes me nervous at starting outside corner.
See,
I don't know. Maybe that's just me. We'll see. I'm not sold on it. See, the difference between me and most Eagles fans is everyone, when the Eagles sign someone that's maybe like a risk or a fill-in guy, most Eagles fans just jump to the conclusion that they're on the Eagles now, they're going to be great.
No.
You got to come show me. I'm not easily impressed. So you got to show me. So if these young guys aren't performing in practice, if they're not performing in practice, they're not going to be performing well in the game. So that's when Howie steps up and trades for veterans and uses his draft capital. It's super smart. He does it in a way that it doesn't hurt your cap, either short or long term. But, I mean, this is how the Eagles operate. This is how the Eagles do business. And I see no reason why their way of doing business will change this August or this training camp. So, yeah, he's going to make a trade. It might be a signing, though. You don't know. I would put the signing and the trade in kind of the same category because
I think it's possible that maybe they don't trade for someone. Maybe they trade someone.
Well, that I don't agree with. You don't
really why
you don't give up assets at this point in the season.
Whoa! If he's not going to make your team, and you can get assets,
who do you think here that's not going to make the team? Who do you think's here that fits that bill?
Eli Ricks is one.
I think
there could be a few CB.
Eli Ricks stinks, dude.
You are very high on Eli Ricks, like all the time. Like I don't think Eli Ricks really has any.
He had one decent game on Sunday Night Football, and when I say decent, that's pretty generous because he did a decent job on Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill still kind of torched him.
Yeah. I also think they could trade Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think there could be a team out there that needs
traded. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think either of those guys really have any trade value. Like I'm not gonna say that it's 0% because no one ever knows. Like we can't guarantee anything, and we don't know what's going to happen in the next month. But if you're gonna tell me what I think the chances are that we trade someone, I think are very low. I don't think there's anyone on the roster with that type of pedigree where they have the trade value needed, but there's no room on the roster. I don't see it. Like, and we'll get into that in one of the questions about, roster depth right now at any position. Is it a concern? So I mean, maybe this is a preview of my answer, but like, I don't see any position having an overabundance of talent to where one player would get traded because they have really good value. Like, maybe like offensive line, but why I don't see why we would trade anyone on the offensive line. So yeah, I'm not gonna say that it's impossible. It's very possible. But I'm more so with Brinks. I don't see that being very, very likely. For the poll question, I'm going to agree just because, like you said, Brinks, he's done it 4 years in a row. I'm not gonna I'll put my. I think the money is more so leaning toward he's gonna do it just because it's been a common theme. So I'm gonna go with agree. Some names I was trying to conjure up some names in terms of okay, who would I like? Who do I think is a realistic possibility, and who would I love to trade for? So the one name that I keep thinking of that could be, in my opinion, realistic is the tight end Darnell Washington from Steelers, because they just traded for Jonnu Smith, and like they have Pat Fryermuth there too. So like they have 3 tight ends deep. I highly doubt they're going to really emphasize 13 personnel at a rate where they want to keep Darnell Washington. Well, or like where they would want to keep Darnell Washington to the and completely just ignore any trade offers. Like I think if it's cheap enough, because Darnell Washington, I can't imagine he'd be that expensive. And so if Howie and the Eagles really think that depth at tight end behind Dallas Goedert is thin, then Darnell Washington fits the mold. And I know that Noah Fant got released, and he's a common name that gets thrown out. He would be like if he's cheap enough, sure, he would be a cool addition. But I am going to harp on the fact that I think we're missing a tight end who can play in line and legitimately block. We don't have that past Goddard. Like the rest of our tight ends are more so receivers. And I always think back to that loss to the Commanders where a big reason, the biggest reason why we lost was Jalen Hurts got hurt and left the game. Then the biggest reason after that is because our tight ends could not block. And that really was a huge factor in Saquon Barkley being limited in the second half. Like he was stuffed because there were so many blocking breakdowns by our tight ends. So I keep thinking like if Goddard goes down, and you can maybe say when Goddard goes down in the regular season, who's going to be there as a tight end who can legitimately block? I don't know. So you put Darnell Washington in there, and he fits that mold. Like you put him in line, and he's like a 6 offensive lineman almost. He's huge. So that's one. And then there are 2 names that like I would love to see. Personally, I don't think it'll happen, but it would be really fun, and I would love to make the move if it's possible. The tight end Kyle Pitts. I still refuse to quit on him. Because I refuse to quit him. Why? So Phillies don't Kyle Pitts because I've been a fan of him, and I again it's the matter of like I refuse to quit him. So I believe that if he came here, he would be much.
He's like
better.
An addict who won't go to rehab. I swear to God.
I still think he's talented. But then the other one is
where is his talent?
He's not being
back
used.
In college.
He's not being used. So. The other one I was going to bring up is the running back Dameon Pierce of the Texans. So like Dameon Pierce had a really good rookie season, then kind of like he's been the forgotten guy. So if the Eagles feel like they need better depth behind Saquon, I think Pierce, you put him in our behind our offensive line, and we call a good amount of like gap blocking schemes. So like he would fit in certain situations, and he'd be more of the steady. Not workhorse, but like steady grinding type of running back, physical type of running back. I think it might be like a big. I might catch heat for saying this, but I do think in the right system, Dameon Pierce could give us a little bit more than what AJ Dillon does. So that's just wishful thinking.
You just don't like AJ Dillon. That's
I'm just not that. It's not I don't like him. It just I don't think he's as good as people. Make him out to be. So going to the comments real quick. Bryce Blackwell, thanks for the super chat, Bryce. He says, my question mark is the gelling of the defense. Yeah, and we'll we'll definitely get to that in one of our questions. So definitely a good point to bring up. Greg Miller says, I would love adding Darnell Washington. I wanted the Eagles to draft him. Yeah, like again, he just fits the tight end 2 mold of what we kind of need. So like I think it just makes so much sense. Bryce,
hopefully Howie has Aaron Rodgers' phone number so they can maybe work out a trade for him.
Right? Yeah, because Aaron Rodgers is in charge there. Bryce also says, I think the offense will be fine, but yes, a tight end would be good. The Daily says, what's up? And he's gonna disagree to the poll. All right, so any more names that you guys like can think of where you would think be trade candidates?
So I think running back's the weakest position on the whole team
in terms of depth. Yeah, I hear you.
So it's not someone who I think is something that could happen, but it's something I would like to see happen because we're trying to win another Super Bowl. I would like to go all in. I'd like to trade for Trayvon Walker.
Okay. Yeah. I don't think that's outlandish. That'd be interesting.
Because they're a mess. They're a mess down there. Yeah. They don't really have no idea what they're doing. I don't think there's any discussion of extending him right now. And having him come here and be with his boys and be the defense where he can excel, I'm okay with trading picks. Like I don't really care. Like you have like an additional guy like him on the team who's going to be blowing stuff up. Like I think he would play very well in the Fangio system. And face it, we need more pass rushers. We need some guys who can attack the quarterback. Like there's so many like my biggest issue with defense heading into this season is it's the pass rushing position is just it's a head scratcher, kind of similar to last year where we have an idea on a few guys, but the rest of them we're not really sure what to make.
Yeah. So I'm looking at his contract. They exercise his 5th-year option. So he is on contract for 2 more years this season and 2026. But his cap hit is this year is 11.891, and then next year would be 14.751 on his option. So it's not too bad, but I mean, like it is a lot for what would be like a rotational type of player bringing in with someone who hasn't really lived up to that pedigree. So, but I'm sure if that's a move Howie wanted to make, he'd work out the financials somehow. But yeah, that is interesting. That's an interesting name. I think I would be okay with that if they can work out financials. So yeah, good one. That's a good one. Breaks, you have anyone?
If they did do that, they would just extend him right away and lower the cap.
Because you have 2 years. You already have 2 years of control ability. Extend them for 2-3 years, and the cap hits are.
But the thing is, what I'm saying is, I don't think if you're bringing him in, I don't think he comes in as a bona fide starter. And so, are you paying $14 million for someone who's going to be on a rotation? I don't think that is. I don't think that would be the case. I don't think Howie would feel comfortable doing that. And I don't think he'd be willing to give him an extension if he doesn't work out. So I think it would be kind of like one of those, you have 2 years, but like what are you willing to accept, or like what are you willing to take on in terms of the financials and how long are you willing to do it for? So I don't know. It's question marks. I think maybe that could be the case where they bring him in on his current contract and the option and be okay with it. But I just don't know because I don't see him coming in and being the starting edge player opposite Nolan Smith. And then all in all, like I think Jalen Hunt, if anything, I think Jalen Hunt would be giving him would be in competition for snaps with him. So yeah, I don't know. It is an interesting name though. It is an interesting name. If our pass rush doesn't really pan out or the way it's supposed to, this in preseason and training camp, maybe that is a name they look at. So that's a good one. All right, so that is that question. If those who are listening, if you've got any more suggestions, definitely let us know. Let's get to our next question that I want to bring up. So this one, I don't know if we've kind of touched on it before, but let's bring it up again just in case we didn't. So we all know Saquon Barkley, 2,000-yard season, arguably the best single season for a running back in NFL history. A lot of workload, and history says that for a running back, the year after they have a huge workload like that, they tend to fall off a little bit. So, how concerned are you about Saquon having a down year in 2025 because of his workload? So, Brinks, let's start with you in this one.
What's a down year?
Like if he doesn't, like if he
you go for
if he gets hurt,
1,500, if he goes for 1,500 yards this year, like that's not as much as 2,000. So is that a down year? I'm not
well,
worried
I mean,
about
like I won't put a concrete number on it, but like we kind of know, like if he's injured for like 4 or 5 games, if he's not providing the same type of explosives that we've seen from him, if his numbers are significantly down, like I think like if you were, I don't know, if you were to only run for 1,300 yards, would that be a disappointment? I think so. Like it depends on like how he looks. So again, I won't put a concrete number on it, but like we kind of like if what happened to CMC happens to Saquon, something similar to that, where CMC was out for a good portion of the year, he came back and did not look the same. So that would be a down. Like how worried are you of that happening?
Not zero, negative $1 billion. Not
Negative
zero.
$1 billion. Okay.
Zero concern about Saquon Barkley. If I had to bet right now, you give him 2,000 again.
Okay.
Give him 2,000 again. No one's taking any of his workload. Not anyone that's on the team now. If they make a trade or sign someone, like we'll see. But no one's taking snaps away from Saquon Barkley right now. The offensive line is still a bunch of animals, and this is still going to be a run-first team. So I don't need to see the need to be worried about Saquon until perhaps either the team, the offense, or Saquon gives me a reason to be. So I'm not worried about it at all.
What do you think, PY?
So I'm not really worried either. Like a lot of times when you see the 2,000-yard season, they're primarily the main focus of the offense. And while Saquon was a big portion of the offense last year, I think a big part of his success is the fact that he had the dual threat quarterback. He had a quarterback to where he opened up lanes and he made you have to focus on Jalen, which made situations happen for Saquon. Like Jalen's making plays. Like Jalen is calling protections. Like we saw in the playoffs, there were tons of times where he was changing the play and he saw something that allowed Saquon to get where he needed to get. And having to wonder where you're going to go, whether or not you're going to have that QB option, or if Saquon's going to bust it for 60 yards. Like that's a big portion of it. The fact that like the RPO game is still strong with this offense makes me think that Saquon is still going to have a great year. And the fact that it's still going to be a top 5 offensive line makes me not really worried about his situation. Like as long as he has Jalen and he has that good offensive line, I don't see a massive come back to earth year. Like with CMC, like Brock Purdy's is basically a statue and their offensive line is not as good as it once was. Like, and then when he got hurt, like
it really was good.
Yeah. When he gets hurt, when he got hurt, all the pieces kind of fell to earth because they're just not as good. Like CMC is that dual threat where they needed it to happen. They needed it to make Brock Purdy what he was. Like they made it. CMC made him look better. Like I can't see Saquon having a year where we're having like question marks or red flags. Like is 15, like Brink says, is 1,500 yards a concerning season for Saquon Barkley? Because any other running back, you get 1,500 yards in the season, you had an all-pro kind of year. And that's what he has. It could be because maybe our offensive weapons step it up. Maybe Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown both have 1,000 yards, along with Dallas Goedert. Maybe Jalen Hurts runs for 1,000 yards just because the lanes are so open and he's just getting like every long run you could possibly get.
I don't think
I'm not saying I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying it's like there could be reasons why. Like there could be reasons why he doesn't get back to 2000, and it could have nothing to do with the fact that he's having a down year.
Yeah, that's why I said like I'm not going to put a number on it because like the number can be arbitrary. It all depends on the context. Like if he's running for 1,500 yards when you're barely getting any carries and your yards per carry are like is like 6, so you 6 plus yards per carry. That's a phenomenal season. If he's getting 1,500 yards but his yards per carry is like 3, then that's a kind of like a disappointing season. So like yeah, I totally hear you. Everything you said. Like I do push back. This will be another topic for another day, but I do push back on the Brock Purdy stuff a little bit. But yeah, again, that's a topic for another season. I am going to say first, I can't say it's 0% concern or negative concern because history is what it is, and like we've had in many instances of it happening to running backs. And again, we never know what's going to happen for sure. So I will never say it's 0%. So I can't say I have zero concern. Maybe I'll say like a 2, but I do agree for the most part with you guys. You know, yes, most running backs do fall off the following year after having a huge season, but I think Saquon, just like Derrick Henry, is an exception to that kind of trend, right? He's a generational talent. And I think that if there's anyone that's going to buck that sort of trend, it's going to be someone like Saquon. You know, we put him into, in terms of talent, we put him into the same category, same tier as Derrick Henry, like generational type of talent. So I would bet that he's going to be fine, right? And maybe he doesn't have 2,000 yards, maybe it's like 1,800, and who knows? So it's like I still think he's going to have a great year. Still be the focal point of this offense and is going to keep it moving. But yeah, I'm not going to say 0%, but I think it's a little concern for me, a little concern. So
I mean, I just did some quick math here on my calculator phone, and 1,500 yards, that's 83 yards a game. Like Saquon gets that in his sleep, and that's a phenomenal season.
Well, yeah, but again, like I said, it depends. Like, what if his yards per carry is like 2 or 3 yards per carry? He's getting a bunch of carries, but like,
how on earth is he going to have, unless he injury pending? How on earth is he going to have 2 yards?
Well, that's what I'm just bringing it up. I'm saying like it all matters of the context. Like I would anyone would have guessed that CMC wouldn't look like CMC last year? Like no one would have guessed it. But it kind of happens. Like so if Saquon gets hurt and he comes back after a few games and he just doesn't have the same pop, then you're starting to see scenarios where it could play out. I don't think it's likely, but I'm not going to say it's absolutely impossible. So that's just my point. So let's go to anything in the comments. Bob does say Saquon is such a big play threat that he will still have a lot of yards. Maybe with more pass catches than receiving yards will be up. Yeah. Who was it? Ryan Swebb also mentioned that he'll be more involved in the passing game. I would love that too. I don't know if it's the Eagles' MO at this point. Like we haven't.
Yeah, but we said that last year too.
We haven't had a running back be involved.
Only one ball, guys.
Yeah, we haven't had a running back be like a heavy receiver since Brian Westbrook. So like, yeah, I don't know about that, but I mean, he'll still make plays as a receiver. Just I don't see it being like a volume kind of thing. So, all right. So next question as we move on, we're about halfway through. So the show. So let's get to the next question. Which young player, and we kind of pointed to this. So each of us is going to name one. Which young player is poised for a breakout season? All right. So I'm gonna go first. So PY, you went first, and then Brinson. So I'll go this time. I kind of answered this earlier today on Twitter, but I'm gonna stay on brand. I'm gonna say Sidney Brown, just because I've been saying it. So I think he's a young player who's gonna step up. But I do think at the same time I'm kind of like cheating here because I am very high also on Andrew Makuba, who did sign his rookie contract today. So I'm high on him. And if you want me to be honest, I do think that the ceiling of Makuba is higher than Sydney's. So I would not be surprised if Makuba wins the starting job Even if it's not like out of training camp or preseason, maybe it's in the middle of the season he wins a starting job. I don't know. But regardless, I think one of those two safeties is going to play well this year, whether it be Sydney or Andrew. So I think that the other safety spot opposite of Reed and taking over for the absence of CJ Gardner-Johnson, I think either of those two guys are gonna ball out. So I'm gonna go with both of them and cheat a little bit. But PY, give us a name, a young player.
It's Kelly Ringo. Like, they traded up for him in the 4th round a few years ago. They believe in him. They thought they found a star. Like, they truly, like, if they didn't value him, they didn't believe in him, that, like, they would have gone out and they would have gotten another cornerback. They would have somehow tried to extend Darius Slay or anything like that. Like, they see the value in him. They see the star potential in Keely Ringo. And, like, I think he's going to step up. Like, I think he's going to show people what he showed when he was at Georgia. Like, I think he's going to take that next step, and he's going to show that he can be a star in this league, and he can be the corner that we drafted him to be.
It's a popular one. That's a popular
I
name.
hope so. They need him.
I hope so. Yeah.
We
need someone to step in place. I mean, coming out of the draft, I wasn't that high on Keely. He wasn't someone that I kind of like favored, but getting him in the 4th round was really good value. Like, I had a 2nd round grade on him, and seeing him drop to the 4th and us grabbing him, I was like, oh, that's awesome. So even though I have my doubts about what he can be and the ceiling, I hope he proves me wrong. And I hope that the last few years of him, playing behind Slay has taught him and helped him develop. So I hope he's able to come in and be a really good contributor.
He's also like 20 years old when they drafted him. Like, he was young.
He was young. Yeah, he was young. So yeah. Brinks, how about you?
Big Jalen Hunt guy.
There you go.
I think he's gonna have a good year. I think he's gonna.
Things have changed.
Well, I was all over Jalen Hunt.
No, you weren't. What?
I don't remember. Leave me out of this. I don't remember.
Yeah, he was losing his stuff because he went from a small school.
Well, I don't like the small school. You know that. I don't like the small school.
But
when I see them play and they do well, I give them credit.
There you go. Good.
But I mean, Jalen Hunt is he's gonna beat Azeez Ojulari and Uche. Apologies if I'm saying it wrong. He's gonna blow those guys out of the water in training camp.
Good. He's a 3rd round pick. They drafted him highly. I hope so. Those guys are gonna be rotational guys.
Higher than your boy. Like, I don't understand what that has to do with it. He's a 2nd-year guy from a small school who was clearly a project, and our defensive coaches clearly see something in him, and I see something in him, and I think he's gonna. You have Nolan Smith, and you need someone to step up.
Yeah, PY.
I need 2 guys to step
up. Not to put a dipper on your point there, but Azeez Ojulari was a 2nd round pick, so. He was picked earlier, so
good too. That's fine.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that, like, I don't think we can be using what rounds they got drafted in as reasons why they're going to win.
Yeah, the job. Tom Brady went in the 6th round. It doesn't matter now.
Exactly. So I do think Jalen Hunt is going to win. Let me say it this way. I think Jalen Hunt is going to be the primary edge too. Right, like he's gonna get the most snaps, but I think that 2nd edge spot is going to be rotated as well. I still am holding out hope for Ojulari. And this is not to say I do think, like, again, I think I was a fan of the pick. I like Jalen Hunt and what he showed later in the year, so I want him to be the starter. But I also think Ojulari has something there still. And so I think that he's going to be good rotation in with Jalen Hunt. And we have Uche also. So, and I know a lot of people like Uche. So we have some bodies at edge. And if at least if 2 of them can figure it out and be contributors, then we're set. But that's the thing going into it. It's like between the three of them, it's just that we don't know, right? Like we just don't know how they're going to fill in as a starter, any one of them. So like they're big question marks, but you hope at least two of them hit and are able to contribute. So yeah,
And then you have the wild card at linebacker. You're going to be able to do a lot of different things. I think with the Jahad Campbell, with
good
pending
point.
his
Yeah, you can
pending
rush
his
him
health.
too.
I don't think he's locked into like inside linebacker. I think you can do a lot of different things with him.
Yeah,
And Vic
just like with
Fangio is
Zach
really
Bond.
good at figuring that stuff out. So
Yeah, and
that's
even
another guy you can throw in the mix.
yeah,
on
Zach
edge
Bond, like
rusher.
you rush off the edge because like now you have Campbell. You can have him be the Mike and Zach Bond gets off the edge more. So like yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with those two linebackers and mix them up. So yeah, that's a good point.
He should be the answer. He should be all three of our answers to this question. But his shoulder.
I feel like
is
it was
not,
chalk because he's a first round pick, so I didn't want to like mention. But like
I get it.
I don't need to overstate again how much I loved that pick. You guys know I was over the moon, and I he's the guy I wanted in the first round. We got him, and I am so high on Jahad Campbell. So I am.
Well, hopefully his shoulder is good.
He seems to be good. Yeah, and I think they said that he'll be ready for training camp. So yeah, it's good. 18 miles per hour does say love the show. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. We got a good number of viewers, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's NFL training camp. We're answering the biggest questions for the Eagles as they head into it. I think the first practice is on Wednesday, so it's going to be very, very, very exciting. So let's get to our next question as we move along with these. Now, we've touched on the pieces that the defense has lost, right? So we lost Milton Williams, we lost Josh Sweat, my son, gonna miss him. We've lost Darius Slay, who's still balling at his ripe old age. And we traded away CJ Gardner-Johnson, right? So 4 key contributors out the door. With everything going, with all the new pieces coming in and having to fill in for them, do you guys think the defense takes a step back, even if it's like a slight step back, right? Do you think the defense does take a step back after losing all those key contributors? PY, let's start with you.
I do, just because like it's just gonna take some time to formulate all these pieces together. It's gonna take some time to figure out how Jahad Campbell like figures into the plans and everything. You got to see how you got to see how Jalix Hunt and Josh Uche and Azeez Ojulari and everyone like work this year. Like Jalix Hunt is getting a much larger role than he did last year. Nolan Smith is getting more as well. But you also have like, especially in the secondary, like most likely Andrew Makuba is going to be your safety 2. And Keely Ringo is going to have to slide into CB2. Like it's going to take some time for all these pieces to gel. So I think it might look a little rocky to start, but I think eventually it's going to show that this is a top 10 defense. Maybe it's not the best defense in the NFL, but if you look at the 2023 season, the Eagles offense was good enough to win every game. They just had the worst defense in the NFL. If they had like the middle of the pack defense in 23, they probably go on a deep playoff run. And that's exactly what it is this year, is that you're going to have a stellar offense. And if the defense is, even if it's middle of the road, you have a good enough team to where you can make a deep playoff run. And that's even if the defense is just in the middle of the road. Like if it's top 10 again, you're looking at another Super Bowl run.
Yeah. Brings.
I mean, probably it'll take a step back, but Ty Robinson out of Nebraska might be better than Milton Williams. We don't know. Like, we don't know. Jalix Hunt or Ojulari might be better than Josh Sweat. So, like, we don't know. So, on paper, on whatever, July 21st, it looks like it's probably going to take a step back. But, I mean, it's really to be determined. And you don't really need a top-tier defense in the NFL to win a championship anymore. Like, this isn't 1994. Yeah. Like, you need to put the ball in the end zone and get enough from your defense.
I mean, minus like the last 3 years in the NFL.
What?
Well,
Wait, what was your point, PY?
uh,
Hello? Can you hear us?
I said the last few years, the team with the best defense have won.
yeah,
Yeah,
but we
but-
weren't sitting here in training camp last year talking about the Eagles as being a defensive juggernaut. We thought that we were going to have a bomb squad offense with Saquon, and the defense was going to be like 15th to 20th. And
when we beat the Patriots, that our defense didn't win that.
It was trash. They got torched.
Yeah, I don't think you don't need a. I'm with Briggs. I've always said this. Like the old moniker of defense wins championships, I think that's outdated. I don't think that's the case.
Extremely.
I mean, there are numerous ways to win a championship. Can you win it with a top defense? Of course. Can you win it with a middling defense that's opportunistic? Yeah. I mean, look at the Colts in 2006. Colts in 2006 had a horrible defense, but when it came to playoff time, they took the ball away. Look at the Saints that won it. I think what was it, 2008, 2009? I forget what year they won the Super Bowl. Their defense wasn't good, but they were opportunistic when they needed to be. So yeah, I don't. There are numerous cases of teams that won the Super Bowl when their defense wasn't the greatest. It made plays when they needed to. So, but to answer the question, I do think we take a slight step back overall. I think early in the year when our young guys are trying to figure stuff out, I think you're going to see some mishaps. But I don't think it's going to bottom out. I think we're all in agreement with that. I don't think it's going to drop to the point where it's concerning. I mean, there were concerns even last year, but I think as the year went on, we all saw that Fangio started to have his influence on these guys. They started to get it. So we still have a lot of the core intact, right? We still have Jalen Carter. We still have Nolan Smith. We still have Zach Bond. We still have
Q's here, Coop's here.
Reed Blankenship. So like a lot of the core of the defense is still here. They understand this system now. So I think the floor is still very high for this defense, even if the ceiling might not get to what it was in late 2024. So yeah, I think even if it takes a step back, I'm not worried that it's going to be a concerning unit. I still think it's going to be a good unit. And I hope they're still able to produce turnovers, right? That's a big thing. Like limit the explosive plays and get turnovers, and your defense is going to cook. So that's going to be a big thing there. Next question as we get to the final few minutes of our show. How much faith do you have in new offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo? Briggs.
I mean, he's got the best players, so a lot. Good players make average coaches look smart all the time in professional sports. So, I mean, you have the protection, you have the quarterback, you have the receivers, and you have the run game. So this guy, Patullo, he would have to be a special kind of stupid to struggle in this role with this team.
Brian Johnson.
Well, this team's got more talent now on the offensive side of the ball than Brian Johnson had. Jalen's a night and day better quarterback than what Brian Johnson had. And that's probably because that's what happens when you hire your friends. Like Jalen Hurts was never going to develop with Brian Johnson because they were buddies. So that was a tactical error by the Eagles, and they seem to have learned their lesson. So like I just, as long as he's not the biggest dope in the entire world like Brian Johnson, the offense is going to be fine. I'm not worried about Kevin Patullo at all because Nick's still going to be there to keep an eye on things. He knows what buttons to push and what buttons not to push, especially being an offensive coach. So, yeah, I'm not worried about Kevin Patullo.
I think I'm not worried, but we have to be open to it sounds just like my like Saquon Barkley answer. We have to be open to the possibility because like we don't have a good track record of offensive coordinators that we hire within, right? That work out. That's just never. It hasn't really paid off.
Mike Rowe, Press Taylor, Brian Johnson,
Juan Castillo.
Yes, Juan Castillo.
So we don't have a good track record of it. So I do think that we leave ourselves open to the possibility that maybe he isn't. I won't say he'll be as bad as Brian Johnson, but like, could he struggle? Could there be a significant downgrade from Kellen Moore to Kevin Patullo? Maybe, yeah. I want to give Kevin Patullo definitely like a chance and an opportunity to prove himself because I don't like carrying over failures from previous people and say, oh, because they failed, you're gonna fail. And I know PY, you were like that. You did not want the Kevin Patullo hire at all because of what happened to Brian Johnson.
But it's not even.
Let me finish. I don't think it's fair to say Kevin Patullo is absolutely going to fail because of the past mistakes. So I'm going to give him the opportunity, but I think that what's going to be important here, in my opinion, and I was saying this last offseason when Kellen Moore got hired, and there were all the talk about, okay, like what happens if Kellen Moore does a good job and then he gets hired away? We're back to square one. I think that part of the process when it came to bringing in Kellen Moore was for Nick Sirianni to learn from Kellen Moore and what he likes to do on offense and a lot of his play calls, what his scheme is, how he sees certain things. So I think Nick in this year, in the year that was with Kellen Moore, he was tasked with learning that stuff so that he can expand his repertoire, expand his knowledge of what to do on offense. And I'm not saying that Nick is now going to be calling plays again or have a heavy hand or influence in running the offense or building the offense. I'm just saying, like, I think Nick has to have gotten a lot of what Kellen Moore did so that there is a backbone, there's a base of what we did before and had success with, and we can carry that over. And Kevin Patullo also was in the building, so I'm sure he also has learned stuff from Kellen Moore and will bring a lot of that stuff over and mold his own type of offense too. So I think that's going to be very important to see how they take what Kellen Moore was able to do here in 1 year and use it going forward and build, not necessarily like do the same stuff and it be it, but like just build on those concepts. Like I always appreciate it, and I said it too when he was hired. Like Kellen Moore he doesn't need to change everything, but he needed to be able to bring fresh ideas and fresh concepts to kind of expand the offense. And we did just that. Like, despite the struggles along the season, he did incorporate more motion. He did incorporate more dense formations. He did incorporate more pistol and under center play action. Like, how many times have we seen under center play action? And last year we went, oh my gosh, it's happening, right? Like playing Jalen Hurts playing under center and doing all that. Like these things we weren't like doing it at the highest rate in football, but we improved those rates from 2023. So it's just a matter of taking those concepts and making sure that Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo build upon that. So I am not concerned. I think and hope he'll do a good job. But, I'm not going to lie when I say that the history of in-house hirings we can't forget about that. I'll say it that way, right? So, PY, what do you think?
So I'm not nervous about Kevin Patullo, but I'm not utterly excited. Like I have worries about past mistakes, whether it's Brian Johnson, whether it's Mike Rowe, whether it's Press Taylor. My biggest issue with the hire is the fact that they refuse to look elsewhere. They lock their sights on him and him alone, and they refuse to give anyone else even an outside look. Like if they interview 2 additional people and they're just like, all right, cool. So we interview 3 people, and out of the 3 people, we feel the best about Kevin Patullo. I can look at that and be like, you know what? Okay, he won the job. He beat those guys out. His ideas, his philosophies, and the way he views the game are good enough or better than those other guys. They didn't do that. They're just like, hey, your next buddy. Guess who's going to call plays? Like, I'm sure that Kevin Patullo could have a good season. I'm sure he's going to call a good game. But, like, I don't like guys without track records. Like, I really like – that's what I liked about the guys that we've hired is that you can at least look at things. And whether they're negative or positive, you can look at what they have accomplished as play callers, at least having some sort of a track record. Like Kellen Moore wasn't perfect at times, whether it's in LA or it was in Dallas, but you could point to those things and be like, all right, these are the things he did in those cities that made me nervous, and these are the things that make me extremely excited. There's not really anything Kevin Patullo does that I can look at it that makes me overly excited. Sure, he's been in the building. He understands the offense to a certain degree. You know, he's Nick's guy. You know, maybe he learned a thing or two from Kellen Moore, but I don't really know what to expect from him. Like, unless we're like running a similar offense to last year and things like that. Like, it's not, I don't have anything against Kevin Patullo. I just would have liked to see a little bit creativity in the search or an actual search, an attempt. Like, I'm sure he's going to be fine, but I'm not like over the moon excited about it. I also don't think he's going to stink out loud like Brian Johnson. I'm just cautiously optimistic.
So to counter, I think it's fair to have wanted like a search and to be able to do your homework, be like, okay, like, you know, we want to vet other guys outside the building, right? I get that, and I think that's fair. So I'm not trying to bash that desire to have that. I think ideally that would have been what we all wanted, but I think you also have to keep in mind we won the Super Bowl. By that time, because of the stupid rules of the NFL, by that time, a lot of the big candidates and like stuff like that, the hires were already kind of like taking place. So unfortunately, if you make it to the Super Bowl, one of the downsides is you're behind the 8 ball when it comes to hiring coaches. And like it makes it worse that the fact that like your coaches are probably going to get sniped right after, right? So like you have that disadvantage, and I think that probably factored in to why we weren't able to have an extensive search to really interview anyone else outside the building. And so like you got to also consider like right after the Super Bowl is done, a few more weeks and it's draft time. The combine is only like a couple weeks after the Super Bowl. So teams, they have to shift gears. They can't be in all like, okay, like let's get this extensive search on our way and like for a good month and make the right hire. No, like you have to be in draft mode. You have to send people. You have to be at the combine. You have to start doing these workouts. So the calendars like really does bite teams in the butt if you get to the Super Bowl, and you sometimes you have no choice. So I think that was probably a factor as why we didn't do more of an extensive search. So
I mean, no one's hiring. I don't care how good they are this year. They repeat or nobody's hiring Kevin Patullo to be their head football coach next offseason.
We'll see.
I don't know.
That's not happening.
You're probably right, but I'm not going to make a statement, like a definitive statement.
And Vic's not going anywhere because he's
Vic's not
going. Veteran guy. He doesn't. Yeah. So and Nick's not going anywhere. Because
if Jalen wins, if Jalen has like a career year and he has like an MVP season, I could 100% seeing someone go out and be like, well, you know, he unlocked this in Jalen Hurts, so I could 100% have to go out and hire Kevin Patullo. Like I could. I
mean, I'm all for that. Life from the passing game prior to December would be a nice feather in Mr. Patullo's cap. I think, because they really didn't do much throwing the football before the Steelers game.
Don't underestimate that Nick Sirianni tree.
I don't know.
What do you mean?
He doesn't have. He don't have the track record. Even with a Super Bowl championship, he didn't have the track record for me to put his. It doesn't matter.
All his coaches go and get hired to be head coaches.
That's true. That's true. They've got
out of every coach he's had, one guy didn't get a head coaching gig so far.
But I mean, Belichick's guys got hired all the time too, and they all sucked.
That's fair too. That's fair too. Well, I mean, so far Gannon unfortunately has done a fairly good job building in Carolina. What's his name?
Steichen.
In Indy. What's the name in Indy?
Steichen.
I mean, if outside of
he's done. I think he's just going to be back here next year anyway. So.
Well, when you pick Anthony Richardson with the 3rd pick in the draft, like you're going to struggle as an offensive head coach.
That's not.
Well, it wasn't his choice. But
I understand, but that's hindering his development as a coach because that guy stinks.
Yeah, I hear you. So like those two, I wouldn't say they've failed. I think Steichen has done a good job with what he's been given. And Gannon unfortunately has done a good job.
What a meh franchise, the Colts. Just meh.
Dumbest
across
smart
the board.
guy ever.
In who?
In their general manager, Ballard, right?
He's awful.
He's here.
He's awful.
Yeah.
Well, all I heard was what a genius he is.
Nobody said. I mean, he had that. He had that stigma for a while. That stigma's long
he's just the best GM. Look at how good he is.
I have never heard that. I have never heard that.
Recently, a few years ago, everyone was singing his praises.
I have never heard. Like I said, he's on and off. Like he's had his good stints, but then he's had his really bad stints. So he's inconsistent as all. So
any cachet he had went out the door when he picked that loser Anthony Richardson with the 3rd pick in the draft.
Who would you have picked at 3?
Not a quarterback who.
Who?
I have to look at the draft. I'm not really consumed with what the Colts are doing in the draft. I don't really care. Like I said, they're a meh franchise, but Anthony Richardson ain't it.
He was doing well in his rookie season. He was playing really well in his rookie season before he got hurt.
I don't think it was hard to figure out. I don't think it was hard to figure out evaluating the quarterbacks in that draft that Anthony Richardson was going to be a bust. I don't think it was that difficult of a thing.
I'll never say. No one ever knows, really.
No.
So
no one knows because then no GMs would ever get fired and everyone would be right all the time. In my opinion, it was fairly obvious he was going to be a bust.
I liked Anthony Richardson in terms of a high risk, high reward kind of guy. Like he had all the tools. Like I said, he had a good start to his season, and then just after he got hurt, it's just been downhill for him. We'll see what he's able to.
Didn't he bench it? This is the guy who benched himself in a game because he was hot.
That was the biggest red flag. Yeah, that's the biggest red flag. So I hear you.
You're a quarterback.
I hear you on that. Absolutely, no, I hear you. The last question we'll get to. Are there any legitimate depth concerns at certain positions on this team?
Running back.
Yeah, running
back.
I'm going to say tight end too, also because I touched on it earlier with the poll question. I think tight end, if we all kind of know that Goddard's going to miss some time in the regular season, so who's going to be behind him? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think Calcaterra's solid.
Yep.
I think who's Kylan Granson?
I like Harrison Bryant.
Harrison Bryant coming in.
I mean, again, like you're talking about like adequate options, but like how I just harken on the fact that like who's gonna block, who the frick is gonna block, and that I don't want to hear that doesn't matter because it absolutely matters, especially in a run first offense when you're tight end. It has to do a lot of stuff. Like a big reason why Dallas Goedert is so valuable to this team, as valuable as a tight end, is because he's such a good blocker too, and if he goes down, when he goes down, like that is a drop off in being able to lean on the running game and rely on the tight end to block adequately. Maybe we lean more on the pass in those instances. So I don't know, but we'll see. Tight end. I'm gonna also say corner because If Keely Ringo doesn't work out, how confident are you in Adoree Jackson?
It's a good answer.
Yes,
It's not very. That
is we're really, really harping on Keely Ringo to work out, and I hope he does. I think he will, but I could be wrong. And Adoree Jackson is a solid vet, but I mean, if he has to be long-term CB2 for this team, there are some concerns there. There are concerns. I would honestly, if it doesn't go well with Keely in training camp and preseason, I'm looking at guys like Asante Samuel and Russell Douglas. I'm 100% on because they're free agents. So I would look at them to sign them. So that's me. The corner is the other one. I'm testing the concerned about a little bit about the depth. So yeah. Anything else?
I mean, that Central Florida kid, I think they picked him this year or last year in the 5th round.
This year.
McWilliams.
Yes.
Yeah. This year,
a
right?
lot of boxes.
He does, but I don't. We don't know anything about him. So like,
I get it.
Fifth round pick, yeah. 5th round pick. Like, is he ready to step in as a rookie?
Right, like,
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like the depth is concerned.
I feel better about McWilliams starting at cornerback in an emergency situation, and then the team being able to successfully run the ball with an AJ Dillon at tailback.
I have no response to that.
Am I missing something with AJ Dillon?
I've at least seen AJ Dillon do it in the NFL and have success in the NFL. I haven't seen Mac McWilliams do a goddamn thing in the NFL.
That's kind of the point. Because, yeah, I've seen what AJ Dillon can do in the NFL. That's the point.
I think AJ Dillon could be just fine, but it's just knock on wood. If Saquon goes down, are we okay with just fine? Like I liked Will Shipley, but can Will Shipley carry the ball 15 times a game? Yeah, I don't know. If Saquon goes down, I do think our offense has to shift to a pass first offense. And that kind of worries me because like your identity should be a little consistent even if that top guy goes down. So if Saquon goes down and we have to shift to a pass first like consistently, there's some concern there from me. But I mean, we do have the best wide receiver duo in the league, so maybe that's not really a concern. So, yeah. Any other questions you guys wanted to bring up before we head out of here?
No, I think this was a solid jumping off point for
any NFL topics you want to harp on.
No? Well, did you see all those clowns in the Players Association that were like using all the money to like go to strip clubs in Atlanta? You been following that at all?
PY
always putting it players first.
PY knows this. Yo, I talked about this story weeks ago in our chat.
Yeah.
Like, so what's it called? What's his name? Pablo Torre. He broke the initial report about the NFL collusion case weeks ago. And I saw it and I'm like, this is a big story that's not getting enough traction right now. Like, I don't know if any of you have like dived into the whole thing.
Yeah, it's
a lot. It's a lot. Like if you haven't, if you're listening, I suggest going on Pablo Torre's YouTube channel and looking.
The fact that JC Treather resigned should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, go in and watch that. Even if you watch just the first half of it, like there is so much to it. It's the episode with Mike Florio. They talk about the collusion case, but there's so much to it in terms of there's like an advisory committee with in the NFL among commissioners where they collectively decide they're advised on what to do. And hence, like that whole thing with Lamar Jackson. Remember years ago when he wanted guaranteed money, the Ravens wouldn't give it to him. They put him on the trade block, and no team wanted to trade for him. When in reality, they were saying, "No, like they were colluding so that the Ravens wouldn't give him fully guaranteed contract." So he's just one example. They did it with Kyler Murray too, and then I forget the other quarterback that had contract issues. But there's that side of it. There's the NFLPA side of it with JC Treader, who was supposed to be the NFLPA director,
Slime
and
ball.
then he got cut, so he couldn't be. So he formulated this faux job search and hired what's his name? What's the director that just resigned? I forget his name, but he hired him so that he could hire Treader and make up a position for Treader. It's wild. It's absolutely wild.
These clowns are handing in expense reports like with receipts from strip clubs saying that like it's like a business lunch and business dinner. Like,
crazy.
what are you doing? Like, do a little bit of a better job, man.
The NFLPA is lost and corrupted. Like they need like a legitimate head to get this stuff back on track, because that was bad. And again, let alone the whole collusion with the NFL and the league owners. It's a Pandora's box that was open. So shout out to Pablo Torre, fellow Filipino, and doing his thing, and he really blew that up. The research he was able to do, and him being able to get his hands on that court document, really opened up the floodgate. So like shout out to Pablo Torre. He amazing job, amazing stuff. So yeah, that's crazy. I think that's all I got. I mean, I don't want to Briggs and I talked about it last week, and then there was the whole Jalen Hurts QB ranking on ESPN, and then now
bullshit.
Cam Newton with his comments not ranking Jalen Hurts in his top 10.
It's just jealousy. That's all it is at this point.
And then RC did an awesome job this morning on Get Up.
He smacked him around this morning. It was beautiful.
It was beautiful, yeah. So
I'm not taking shit from anyone in the Super Bowl who didn't have the balls to step on a fumble to try and save the game. Like that's not you. That's fine. You've gone on record stating that you wouldn't trade your MVP for a Super Bowl, showing that you're a me guy, not a team guy. And I'm okay with that.
I'll defend Cam in that, because that's not what his point was. That wasn't his point. People are taking that and running with it. His point wasn't that he'd rather be MVP. His point wasn't about being selfish. And I'll get into this another day, because like we're running beyond time, but like that wasn't his point. I will still defend Cam, because I think Cam is one of the better analysts in general when it comes to media, and he does a lot more good than bad. But this is definitely a bad one. Like he deserves to be criticized for this, because like I can understand being low on Jalen Hurts if you have good arguments, present good arguments why, but to use for your main argument to be the surrounding talent, and then use it to say he's not even top 10. Even top 10 is ridiculous.
Then kick Joe Burrow out.
Why?
If that's what we're doing, if you have a good supporting cast and then you don't belong in the top 10, Joe Burrow's not on the list either.
Yeah, but yeah, Joe Burrow's elite. We all know that, but like he does have like this like an elite wide receiver duo. He has
the Ravens. The Ravens aren't loaded every year.
Yeah, right. Like Lamar's out too.
Yeah. So I mean, like, and when Mahomes started winning, he did have Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like he has Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo. So I don't like using that argument of a quarterback having good talent or supporting cast or coaching around him that you discredit the quarterback. The whole point of a quarterback, like we always say, if a quarterback doesn't have good talent around them, we're like, yo, you got to give him help. You got to get that quarterback help. But then what? The quarterback gets help, and we're gonna say,
he's overachieved his draft status, and that angers all these people because they had their guys who they're obsessed with. You know, your Justin Herberts, guys like him, and then you have your draft darlings like Justin Fields and players like that, where they thought they were really high on them and they were going to be superstars, and they just haven't lived up to the hype. Meanwhile, there's a guy in the second round.
Include Mac Jones, because Mac Jones.
Sure, but whatever. Mac Jones hasn't done anything either. Like whatever. But like my point is that these guys, even Chris Sims is the worst of it, to where this is their evaluation of these players, and they refuse to admit they were wrong and to update their opinion. Like, you can say whatever you want about Nick Wright, but you know what? Nick has at least adjusted his opinion on Jalen Hurts.
No,
Nick has. Yes, he has.
No,
No,
Nick
no,
is
I'm not letting
all
you.
offseason.
I'm not
Nick is-
letting you pull on Nick Wright's thing. Good, no, I'm
No,
not
Nick
letting
I'll
Wright's
at
a
least
loser.
accept that.
Wright-
Like, Nick has
Nick
at least
Wright is
done that. Like,
inconsistent as
none of
all,
these
like-
guys want
You
to
call
do
him
that.
Nick. I call him Nick wrong
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the guy.
He's
I
right.
love Nick
He's
Wright. I
right
don't
on
get
Hurts this offseason. Like, he's one of the few guys who have consistently
so-
given him his props in this offseason.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
took all the L's, and I
So-
respect that. Like,
yeah,
If you
Chris
make
Sims is-
10,000, if you make 10,000 takes and make one good one, that makes you a
FS
freaking loser and a
FS1,
nerd
a lot of the
and
people,
someone that I don't respect.
yeah, a lot of people at FS1, they have such bad on-air personalities on there. Like Colin Coward he
Yes.
changes his stance every 2 days.
yes,
It's a
of
shame
course.
about
and Nick
Colin. I
Wright
used to be
is-
a big fan of
okay,
his, and
Oh,
then he
who, Congo?
just
he just
lost it somewhere.
all
I
the
don't
people
know.
all the people on FS1 they're bad, and now 2 shows got canceled, the facility and
Because they
and
just suck.
they suck. They
They're
suck. Paul
awful.
Pierce is horrible. So yeah, FS1 is not where you want to go for on-air personality analysis. So yeah, sorry, it's hard to burst your bubble, PY. I'm not letting you wax poetic about Nick Wright. You love Nick Wright, but like you're such a fanboy. Nick Wright is not it. So I'm not.
What's-
letting you do that.
I didn't say he was
What's
it. I
the
said
like
he's
about
been just.
So, anyways, guys, good start for training camp talk. We will be back next week, and we'll see what we can talk about over the first week of training camp. But football is here. We survived, and should be an awesome and exciting month as we head into the final month of the season. For our sponsor, Baggio's Bread, make sure you mention ATD Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. For myself, for Brings, who's out, for PY, for the rest of ATD Radio, catch all of our shows. We will see you same time next week. Until then, peace.